What's happening? Stop Bellman back. We are going to crush some MLB tonight. Already rocked the NBA and the MLB info for the day slate. That is already out there at your disposal. Go give it a look-see. And if you want all three write-ups today, the day pass for $5 gets you everything, both baseball slates and NBA. So let's rock and roll.
Let's get it, man. I didn't even mention this to you, but it's frustrating. We've talked about Arizona a bunch. I've been on them probably more than I should have been. And then last night, they absolutely go nuts against McCullers. And McCullers just doesn't look right. We've talked about that a bunch. He just does not look good.
This is true. I know you were. You said you had a vibe on that game yesterday, and you were definitely looking at it, and then you didn't pull the trigger on it. Sounds like.
It sounds right.
Okay, well, that happens. That's a game, right? Like you
Yeah,
said,
exactly.
you told me before we started talking today, like you called Ryu yesterday. I'm like, did I? I said maybe because he's better than he's been, but I definitely used more bats from that game than I did Ryu. So, you could have a vibe, doesn't mean you're going to go with it, right?
For sure. It's something that you talk about all the time. And I was thinking about this. Is there method to your madness? Like, is there a reason, or is it just like a gut feel? Like, and obviously you got to go with your gut sometimes, but gut feels can be all over the board. So, usually it's better to have some numbers to back it up.
Right. Yeah. If all you do is like play these long shots all the time, by
Right.
the time you finally win one, you're going to have lost, your house and everything that goes along with it beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Speaking of losing your house, let's do the opposite and let's try to win the house today, guys. Overlay just dropped the contest for MLB on the day. We'll get into that in a little while. NBA is coming out slowly and surely. I know a couple of you guys messaged me wondering where they were. They are up. They are running. We got hours to evaluate them, so we'll come quickly with this stuff later on. Let's get that NBA jackpot that is coming here, $20,000, guys. That is a big, 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 big payday if somebody can get there. Somebody was close just the other day. I want Bellman to get it and break me off a piece of that bad boy.
Yeah, man. One time, man. That's all I got to say about that.
That's brilliant. All right. All right. We did all the other stuff already for as far as DraftKings stuff. So this is the last DraftKings video of the day in regard to non-members only stuff. Again, if you want all the write-ups and all the members only video today, you can get it for just $5 as a day pass. It's up on the website. And subscribe to the station if you're new to it. Thumbs up is appreciated. I was going to talk a different pitcher before you messaged me, but you want to go through Nate Pearson, so have at it, Hoss.
I have a feeling I know what pitcher you were going to talk about. We can bring him up on members only. So pitching options aren't awful today. We've had some of these slates where like pitching options are just atrocious. There aren't any good arms. Today is not that day, but there still aren't many good options. There aren't guys that were running the roster. There's a couple guys up top that, again, we'll talk about on members only. But for me, I really like the price tag of Pearson. You mentioned Ryu. Ryu pitched really well last night against this Atlanta team. Atlanta has a powerful offense. The top of their lineup is really good, but with Ozzie Albies hurt, it really shortens their lineup. The bottom of their lineup is not great right now, and this is all about Pearson and his price tag. He's better than this price tag implies. He's the Blue Jays' top pitching arm. He's one of the better pitching prospects in all of baseball. He looked good in his debut last time out. This is a guy that the Blue Jays want to give exposure to. I expect him to be on a pretty decent leash here. And again, he's only 7,300. Risky for sure because he's facing Atlanta. But I like his makeup. I like the cut of his jib. I think he's solid here.
Don't forget Atlanta, also highest K rate in baseball to start the year.
Oh, love that.
All right, so next up is one of your offensive boys, Eduardo Escobar. You have been salivating for the Diamondbacks, talking about how great they are for a while. Well, they came through last night, so I know that your boys are finally back.
Don't you think that he's just too cheap, like as just a cog in the machine type? He's good. He's got power. I know he hasn't been great to start this year. Obviously, those numbers aren't good. But late home run last night, you mentioned the Arizona offense got going. I'm a Escobar fan. I think he's good. I think he's like rock solid. He's not on that Nolan Arenado tier of third baseman, but he's better than this price tag. I like him a lot here. I don't think you need to go all out and stack Houston, but man, I just like him at 3,800.
Well, here's the deal, guys. I mean, it's easy to over-evaluate things in baseball right now because the season's shortened. But in a 162-game season, you're going to have bad starts. Do you really think Christian Yelich and Cody Bellinger are going to maintain these terrible stat lines for the rest of the year? No, they're going to turn it around. It's been a very short sample size. We know Escobar is a lot better than a 5.02 OPS and got his late home run last night. The Diamondbacks finally went off. They probably come in today with a lot more confidence, playing a lot more free and loose.
To your point about the sample size, and this is something we haven't even talked about, but even those guys that are ice cold, Yelich, Bellinger, Escobar, if they have one game where they go like 4 for 5 with a home run and 2 doubles, all of a sudden those numbers look pretty damn good.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next up. So speaking of guys who were not off to great starts, I'm going to look at Chris Bryant and a couple of the Chicago Cubs today, actually. Bryant is quietly playing better baseball right now. In the past 6 games, 5 of those have gone for 8 or more DraftKings points. So a little bit more consistency on top of that Cubs lineup. He's got that dual eligibility where you can play him at third or outfield. Be at only 4 or 500. And I also like the Cubs a little bit overall tonight. I like going on guys that are off of their normal routine. Keller making his first start after dealing with COVID a little bit. So I like the idea of Bryant and a couple other Cubs tonight.
Yeah, I'm all about that too. We've seemed to see a lot of these slates kind of eye to eye, and it looks like we do again tonight. Bryant looks good. Maybe he doesn't look like the MVP Bryant of a couple years ago, but he's almost now going under the radar because he's not the guy fresh on everyone's mind.
All right. Speaking of guys with dual eligibility in third and outfield, talk about your boy Brian Anderson.
So talked about the Marlins a couple days ago. They weren't great. All of a sudden, though, they've won, I think, 3 in a row since coming back. Either shut out Baltimore or, I know they've won all those games. And a guy that's been good for them is Brian Anderson. Very underappreciated player, as you mentioned. Perhaps the best player in Miami's lineup. Not an overall superstar, but a rock-solid player who, again, multi-position eligibility, third base and outfield. He's not too expensive at 4,400, but he's also not like crazy cheap where people will just be locking him in. He's got nice power. I know that you can get on board with picking on Wade LeBlanc a little bit. I don't know if I want to like all out stack Miami, but if you think LeBlanc is off tonight, I think they're definitely in play. Again, I think they're still playing in Baltimore. I'm not sure about that. So that's something that I'll have to check out because if they're in Miami, obviously it's a much worse ballpark for them.
Yeah, it says at Miami, but I don't know if maybe DK's off of some of those things.
Not even DK. I know that like some of these games are being played like at the. I'm not sure. I don't want to speak on that because I'm not sure.
Okay, fair enough. Side question for you about the Marlins. They signed my boy Jesus Aguilar, who looks real good to start the season. I was annoyed last year when the Brewers gave up on him because he had been so good for the 2 prior seasons, and they gave him away for almost nothing. And it's like I feel like you're looking at Milwaukee's offense right now. Like, wouldn't you wish you still had him?
So 2 things. Yes, like we talked about like Smoke and Morrison and Aguilar, and they're like all the same. But Aguilar kind of looks like the best of those guys. He had the best year a couple years ago, and he was established with the Brewers. I think he would look real good for Milwaukee. And I just looked. I think because of COVID, this game is in Baltimore. So
okay.
Miami is the home team, but it's in Baltimore. I think Philly was doing the same thing. So again, it just makes Miami even more appealing.
Yeah, hitting home runs in Baltimore is just easier than Miami. There is nothing very complex to understand about that. Just go look at those 2 ballparks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's check out some cap relief for the day. And I'm going to touch on a guy who's is a good hitter, new team, got a little bit of a late start to the season. Nomar Mazara is only 3,400 for the Chicago White Sox. So if you're searching out some cap space, give him a little bit of a look-see today. Again, he hasn't looked tremendous to start the year, but he doesn't have a huge sample size of at-bats yet. Did not start yesterday, came in, took 2 at-bats. I believe he walked in one of them, if I remember correctly. But this is all about the price tag for me at only 3,400. I'm not this Lindblom character for Milwaukee. He's not a scrub, but this certainly isn't going up against Max Scherzer or anything like that either. I'd put him kind of in the middle of the road. The White Sox, despite scoring 0 runs last night, everybody knows they're a very good offense. And Mazara, I expect to be in the lineup tonight at only 3,400. He's just better than that price tag.
Yeah, I like Mazara a lot here. We see this eye to eye. He was someone I was looking at hard. So first off with Lindblom, he was really good in the KBO, MVP a couple years, and he comes over with decent pedigree. But you have to take that with a grain of salt. Not saying he won't be good in the majors because guys come over and are good in the majors. Ryu was the best pitcher in the KBO and has come over and obviously been very good in the majors. However, it doesn't automatically mean he's going to be good because KBO offenses are a lot worse than the major leagues. They're like minor league offenses. Guys who have struggled to stay in the majors have come over to KBO and raked. So that kind of tells you all you need to know there. As far as Mazara goes, I know his numbers aren't good. He's only hitting 143. He hasn't had that many at-bats, though, and every time I've watched him, and I've watched a few of his at-bats, he looks good. He looks engaged. He's the type of guy that when he's really off, his at-bats look awful. He's striking out on 3 or 4 pitches. He does not look like that guy right now. One of these games, he's going to have a really nice game, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's tonight.
Yeah, I think he's 1 of 7, right? Like, it's not a major sample size. Like, all of a sudden, one of those,
Mhm.
balls was hit at the shortstop, goes over his head. He's 2 of 7, and his batting average looks just fine.
Exactly.
Very, very small sample size. And again, when you talked about the KBO, that's how I look at Lindblom. I think he's a very mediocre pitcher, right? He's not terrible. He's not good. I mean, he was good over there. But I was watching the Bucks play their scrubs yesterday, and they were talking about Frank Mason. I think he was the what conference?
G League MVP.
Yeah, he's the G League MVP. He was excellent in college, but he can't stay on an actual NBA team right now. So, like, I kind of make that kind of comparison.
Yeah, you have to take all that stuff with a grain of salt.
It's like, do you remember a couple of years ago when Christian Wood was on the Pelicans?
Yes.
I talked about what he had been doing in the G League for the Bucks, dropping 30-20 on the regular. Like, yeah, you can put up stats, but there's a reason he's in the G League and not on the team.
For sure. So for me, it's like almost one of those other things, like anything else. Like, it doesn't mean nothing that he was awesome in KBO because, like, he obviously was good there and has progressed and become better as a player. But it certainly doesn't mean everything because it's just a whole different beast, right?
Absolutely, guys. All right, click that thumbs up button. We appreciate all you guys watching and all the new members and everything like that. We'll see you later for some overlay discussion.
Thanks, guys.